Okay. The reason I took a 3-second pause is I figured out, hey, I don't have to be so stupid about this. I stopped the early recording and I just started a second one. Okay. So now you guys can go for another 4 hours if you like, and I don't have to be here. Okay. So no longer have to restrict yourselves to the next 90 minutes. Okay. Sorry, that was just a meta comment. Okay.
No, that's kind of you, Sam. So yeah, by no means am I trying to indicate that you're not focusing in as a moderator in barn raising. I'm just saying you got a monumental task with the vastness of the topics to keep focus on any one topic we talk about, if we wanted to. When people just want to speak their mind, then maybe it's not about them focusing. Maybe it's not about so. I think we have to know in context what we're talking about. And if it's about trauma, then it's best I just listen, be witness. And if it relates to me, then I might be able to. I think I've done that for you before, but way back when I first came here, you were speaking about a traumatic relationship and stuff with stuff. And, I've gone through all that stuff as well. So I was just indicating to you that I have also been through, a lot of those painful trials. So anyway, yeah, I hope my striving for focus does not put anybody off and thinking I don't want them to focus, or I want to control what they want to focus. And I felt that from Tyra. And that is how you pronounce your name. Is it Tyra?
Well, Colin, what if this was good enough? What if we look at it through the lens of, you have a group of people that come together and the conversation does this, and maybe you do lose the focus, but at the end of the conversation, to be able to look back and say, okay, that's curious how the conversation went. And maybe that's the way the conversation was meant to go.
Yes.
And so that's what I bring. What my feeling is when I come to this group is I don't have an expectation, because I have faith in the process that the conversation will go where it's meant to go. And I accept that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a default position for anybody that wants to lean in and be of service, which is a beautiful thing. I guess what I have as a idea ever since I've started coming here is about trying to get a mental model of the process that we're going through in a general way, so that people can see where you are in that process and align with you. Anyway, that's something I can spend more time on in demo. So I've got a couple of ideas of which directions I want to go as solo projects, and trying to get people interested and on board to see if it's interesting for the GCC. But at the same time, I'm building my own skills and things like that. And a lot of what I do for the GCC is not just for me. It's most of it is to try to be the output of what I'm doing. I hope is of service to the group. As you know, that's what software does. Software is not for the programmer, it's for the user, right? For the most part. So yeah, I have the mindset of a software developer, mindset of an engineer, mindset of somebody who says, we could have a little more focus, and at the same time bring in all this human trauma stuff so that it's included in the story. So I know I'm rambling without actually having prepared. I don't know if people are following what I'm saying, but there is a progression that I've seen through these conversation groups of ways that people could approach and focus on conversations. And to speak very much to what you just said, Tyra, I find that some of the really valuable way would to be just let the person say what they're saying. And if I really find it that important that I could interrupt them in their flow, why don't I take that piece of video and do a response video later so that I can respond to exactly what they're going to say without having, because the only time I like to interrupt is when I'm confused, I don't understand, or I think they're wrong. If I'm just learning from somebody and want to ask questions, yeah, definitely just let them go. And even in the cases where you think that you want to challenge them, still let them go, and you can challenge them later if it's something that needs to be challenged. Not everything needs to be challenged. Everybody live in people's peace. That's none of my business. It's when it's becomes a law, the group has to do this, it's when, you know, people start to walk, right? So that's what we don't want, rules in that limiting way. Anyway, I think most everything I have to contribute is within the journey map, the game of discernment map, and in helping maybe make some different channels and show examples of how conversations could have went better without focusing on the drama or trying to solve somebody's problem, but point it towards future looking ways that we could do it better, whatever it is. And not in a way that it saves the world, not in the way everybody's happy, and not in the way, it's just where people, I think the number one word I want to say is where people are understood. Because if you don't get understood, you're not even, you know, and Kayla got a lot of meaning from some people speaking spiritually today. I appreciate that about Kayla and the people here. I get none of that, but I do get the care and concern and the kindness. I do get all of that, and that I'll appreciate. Whether I believe what they're saying is true or not, I know that I don't think it's harmful to me. And also it's very sad to hear some stories about the trauma that people go through. And that's part of bearing witness, is listening to people's pain, which is something that's not easy to do either. And it takes a certain kind of person to want to sit and listen and not turn the channel to a sports game or something. So anyway, I think it is a special group, open space. Am I still misunderstood by you, Tyra? Do you think I'm still questing to be satisfied? Like, what is it?
No. I feel like I have a very good understanding, Colin. Thank you. And I'm curious what Alex wants to say.
I was focusing on this tool, the tool that I use that can be used by individuals, can also be used by groups to create a balance between the understanding, to create a balance between all aspects of your life and probably all aspects of a group's functioning. And it's the tool that comprises three things. It's a triad of mental, spiritual and physical. It's that one used by the support groups, self-help groups. And that link I put there is how it works from the Alcoholics Anonymous program, from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, because it describes in detail how the program, how the process works to give people recovery from their demons and their dissonance, mental dissonance, cognitive dissonance. It's an avenue to the enlightenment. It's a power or a force that it causes the darkness to vanish by lighting a candle. You see, you didn't really do anything to the darkness, but you did light a candle, and because you lit the candle, the darkness is gone. The traumas are also healing. The process of forgiving yourself is part of the process. The things you've done, but the wrongs you've done to others, that can cause trauma and heartache and resentment and all sorts of nasties in your mental capacity, in your heart. So mental, spiritual and physical. When you put two hands together like this, it's a fireman's hold. And it's a good grip when somebody is in distress and you need to make sure they don't let go. Acrobats use it in the circus too. But if you use three people, like when they get kids a ride, you put lock three hands together like that, you've got this triangle that is a great symbol for unity and strength. So it's late and I'm checking out with that too. But thank you, Colin. Understanding is being improved every time you speak. Over.
I'm going to hop off too. This was great, you guys. Thanks for listening. And I really enjoyed this. It's really good to see everybody. It makes me very happy. And I'll see you soon.
Hey, Tyra,
Bye.
before you go, Tyra, before you
Yeah,
go.
Sam, what?
Sorry, I had made you host. So if you actually disappear, the whole session will disappear. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, but I think Kayla's co-host too, right?
No, but it's the host who actually starts and ends the session. So let me grab host back first. Hang on one second before you go.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was
Yeah,
holding that.
I almost left, so hang on one second. I have to figure out how to grab host back. How do I?
I'm gonna go too, so don't make me host.
They should make
Kayla,
this
you're
a whole
looking
lot easier
fabulous,
to
by
do.
the way. You look so pretty.
Why do they not make this easier to do?
Bunny ears on earlier.
Maybe Tara has to give it back to you, Sam.
Yeah, Tyra, can you make me host? Because right now I'm not finding it in the UI. So just
I don't know how to do that.
Right click on my picture
Okay,
and just say make host.
on you?
Yeah, on me or anybody else.
Okay, I'm clicking. Oh, I see. Okay, hold on. I don't know how to do it. Let's see. Sam, make host. Did it.
Okay,
Gosh,
am
I
I
feel
host
like-
again?
I feel so
Okay,
smart.
good. Yes, I'm host again.
Okay.
Okay.
Tara, before
Okay. Yeah.
before you go, you asked some really good questions of Colin to try to get insight into his frame of mind, his what was satisfying or dissatisfying, and those kinds of questions. And you succeeded where I have failed at that attempt. And when Colin asked you whether you now understood him, you said you did. And I don't. So my request to you is, would you be willing to share with me your understanding of Colin to fill in the blanks? Because I don't understand him.
Oh, golly. How can I articulate
Just as you were
that?
ready to leave, Tyra.
I know, right?
I don't mean right
no,
now.
No,
I
that's
just-
okay. That's
I
okay.
don't mean you have to do it now. But would you
Well,
be?
no, I think that's a good question because I am my brain is scrambling to organize that into like, what is it do I understand about him? This is what I understand is exactly what he tells us. He tells us what's important to him. He has told us that he comes from an engineering state of mind, which to me is telling in as much as that's how he organizes his thoughts in a very engineering kind of way, mathematical kind of way. And so by my understanding that, I don't need to understand the intricacies of how he formulates his thoughts because that would be impossible for me to do. But what I do know is exactly what he's told me, what's important to him. Mapping. I don't know what mapping means, and mapping is so not important to me. I could care less about mapping, but that is very, very, very important to him. And so I know that whatever I say, pretty much, is going to go through that filter in his mind. That's his filter. And so that helps me understand his frame of thought and what's important. I think where I misunderstand Colin is I feel like he is insulting people because they're not on his agenda. But I don't think that's his intent at all. I think Colin very much wants to be part of this and not being perceived as insulting. So for example, when he says we're talking trivia, well, I interpret that as what I'm saying is not important. It's trivial. But instead of me going, oh, Colin thinks I'm trivial, and what I'm saying is not valuable to him, I have to go back to where his filters are, an engineering mathematical filter. And I don't come from that point of view at all. I am completely on a different page than that. So does that answer your question, Barry?
Well, it more than answers it. It raises an extremely interesting paradox. Colin has an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering.
By the way, as Alex noted, Colin's no longer here.
Okay.
So I just want to
I
make
have
that-
an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering. I happen to have graduated #1 in my class in electrical engineering. So I have a pretty deep understanding of engineering, electrical engineering, and then 2 more graduate degrees after that. I do not understand Colin, but I understand you beautifully. That's the paradox.
Well, I come from a place of, because of trauma, because of how I was raised and the people I was raised around who did not make me feel safe, I learned to really read people's everything for
Aura.
safe as a kid. You know, flight or flight. You got to read if somebody is going to hurt you or keep you safe. And so I have that pretty fine tuned, I think.
It's a
I think
gift. You have that gift.
Well, and I have it searingly so with children. So I can be around a child and immediately do, it just comes to me what is happening in their life because of how I was raised. I was very fine tuned, like little hairs are fine tuned. So I think that's why you understand me, because I'm coming from a place of needing to be understood in order to be safe. Does that make sense?
Well, first of all, I for example, was it a week ago, I think it was, no, Friday, a week ago, Friday, when you honed in on the number one value of the person in the hot seat in Gertrude's session. I mean, you listened to the whole thing for like an hour, and then you, in one word, you found the word in the dictionary that named the number one value of the person in the hot seat. And that knocked my socks off. I don't know if you remember me saying that.
Yeah.
I try to find out things like that. What satisfies you, what pleases you, what displeases you, what your values are. And I can't get any straight answer. And so
That's okay. That's okay. Neither can I. And that's what I meant when I said, can we be okay with this being what it is without having to dissect it? Kayla, what was your thought?
For the record, I would like to say I would like to stop this recording if we're talking about Colin, because I know for a fact he would not appreciate it if this is for public view to see. You know, I've had many one-on-one sessions with Colin just as a friend, and he's expressed to me his disdain for recording. That being said, I would have to say there's lots of people I don't understand, and I still don't understand Colin. I really don't. But I accept that he is who he is, and I kind of work with that.
Mhm.
And it's like I don't even understand my own mom, and she's here. I do not understand
Yeah.
her, really don't, and I struggle because I want to. Um, and you know, Colin is a good-hearted person, and I wish I can understand him too, but I don't.
I'll tell you a funny story. My mother's number one desire was to be understood. She kept saying, I just want to be understood. And I found it very hard to understand her because I grew up in a culture where we did not disclose our emotional state. We did not even use the vocabulary terms to disclose emotional state. So if I wanted to figure out my mother's emotional state, I had to decode all kinds of weird metaphors. Like she would start talking about the roses out in the garden. And I'm going, why is she telling me about the roses? And I'd open a dictionary. I'm on the phone to her, like on a Sunday. And I look for the definition of roses, and it says, well, it has thorns on it. I go, Mom, are you having a thorny problem? Yes, she says. That was the kind of metaphors that I had to decode, which was really, really beyond my ken.
Yeah, my mom will repeat herself, you know, and she's always been like that.
Yeah.
You know, she's older now,
Yeah.
but even when she was younger, I could say something to her, and the next second, not even a second, she would ask me something pertaining to what I just said. I'm like, I just told you, you know, and so I do know that there are people who exist who are like that.
There's a famous comedy sketch on that. There's a famous Bob and Ray comedy sketch on exactly that thing, that he's playing the interview and the interviewee. And so I can't remember which one. Bob is asking the questions, and then the interviewee answers it and adds an extra piece of information. And then the next question from the interviewer is what was just added, and this goes on every single time. It's a hilarious sketch by Bob and Ray. But I'll just give you one other one. My mom one time talked about having mice in the laundry area. And she kept talking about the mice. I said, Mom, are you feeling trapped? Yes. I mean, that was the thing.
How astute.
Trying to figure out what's going on inside her head when she was talking about the stuff like, why is she talking about mouse traps? That she can't get the right mouse trap to work. And that was what I had to do to try to figure out her cognitive emotive state.
Barry, I want to hop in because what I'm hearing you guys saying is we want to be understood, and this goes back to everybody in our group, which is we want to feel valued. We want to feel valued. We want to be appreciated for what we bring to the table. I don't know if that loops back to your mom's metaphors, which I love the fact that you could dissect that like a dream interpreter. That's brilliant. That's a skill right there.
That was 2 times out of 1,000 that I succeeded.
Could actually get it. Yeah.
Most of the time.
But I think it goes back to people who feel misunderstood. I think a lot of it goes back to please value what I'm bringing, even if you don't understand it. So that's part of my understanding of the people in this group is I like to feel valued. When I get feedback that something I brought here is valuable, it's like chocolate. It's so good. It's like, thank you for that little treat, because it makes me feel like, golly, I brought something that was valuable.
You gave me a rosy today.
Well, you can tell I haven't been around. I haven't talked to anybody all week because I'm just like, I need to talk to some adults, like just somebody other than my dog. So yeah, I'm really chatty today.
But when you told that story about the old woman on the trail and holding the babies, I mean, I very rarely can feel an actual warm fuzzy. I'm not even sure the name of the neuropeptide that just sort of floods your body and get a warm fuzzy. I haven't felt one of those in years, but that little story gave me a warm fuzzy. And
That's how I felt when I heard it too. I was like, and every time I feel like giving up, I ask myself, if somebody handed me a little baby, would I keep going? Hell yes. No. Not only would I keep going, I'd do a great job. I think the universe gave me this stray dog because I needed to feel like I was still needed. My kid is 17. He doesn't like, I'm single. I don't, so where do I feel valued? And so
right here.
Yeah, and I know that, and I know that this is a safe place for me to come because you value me, and that if somebody comes on here and insults me or is just outright rude to me, I know that people will say, don't do that. We value Tyra. We're going to, in the same way I would protect you. Yeah. So Kayla, I want to ask you, how's the house coming? Because that's such a big deal.
The loan got approved, so it's closing really soon. And I was a maniac like 2 days ago because before, when we got the offer, it was contingent on the sellers. The sellers are moving to New Zealand. Now let's back that up. The sellers are in the same situation I am, where their parents are the ones who own the house. But the people living there are moving to New Zealand. So we gave them 3 extra days, after close date, and offered if they wanted to, if they had to, rent the house for $100 a day. Now we're going back to the listing agent now and asking if they're leaving because I need to tell my landlord, I mean, the roof has leaked last year heavily, and it looks like it's starting to leak now. So if there's another rain, it might leak. My washer dryer is finally going poo-poo. We've had a septic tank, so I'm very mindful of, flushing the toilet. So now I'm excited because I actually have a house that works, where I could put Tyra's wonderful art, because I already told her she's going to do some art for me. and then my own plans, and everything's going to be comfortable. So 2 days ago, I was like, when are they leaving? How come you haven't said anything? You know,
So
Why won't
stressful.
you- yeah. But
That's
as of
big
yesterday,
stress.
yeah, I let that go. I let it all go, and it's like it is what it is. If I do have to pay an extra month here, I'll take my time moving.
Good.
But thanks for asking.
Alex,
so
do you need
adult.
to go?
Yes, he needs to go.
I
He
should go
wrote-
too. My gosh, it's 11 o'clock. I should call my grandma. I love you guys. I know my grandma and I chat every morning. We have coffee together, so I need to check in with her. And she answers. We have the Alexa show. She's 98, and I gave that to her for her birthday, so we could video chat. Every time she sees me show up, she does this huge squeal, like it's absolutely mind-blowing to her that I just pop up like that. And it's that same like warm fuzzy feeling you got, Barry. It's like, oh, the excitement and enthusiasm never wavers. It's like she's seeing me for the first time every time. And that's the kind of space I try to hold. She asked me once, on her birthday, she's like, why am I still here? Like, why am I still alive? I'm 98 years old. And I said, because you're still showing us an example of unconditional love. You are unconditional love. And that's what I strive to be, and not be a complete twat. Sorry. Okay. Love you guys. Kayla, let's check in this.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, Barry. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sam, I owe you an apology for letting that other session go over 4 hours. Went 42 seconds over 4 hours. I'm not sure Sam's there. Evidently not. Who's the co-host? Who's hosting? Well, I'm going to go pee and see if he comes back in a minute. Looks like I'm the host, so I'm going to end it then because there's nobody else here. I'm just going to leave. Well, I guess there's no point in leaving a message because he won't get it if I close the session. Okay, so I'm going to close the session. Thank you, Sam, and thanks to everybody else who participated today.